Hello friends, welcome to the lecture series Programming Fundamentals using Python. This is a full course in basics of Python. So in this session we are going to discuss about why we need to do programming, after that why Python, then what is Python interpreter, what is IDE, what is programming, then what are tokens, different types of tokens, then Boolean algebra, Python a dynamically typed language. After that, how to take input from user, that is input function and output function. After that, control structures, that is sequential flow, selection flow and iterative flow. Then after that, its part, that is if else and while loop, for loop, and using the range function. Use of break keyword, continue keyword and pass. Finally, what are functions, its syntax and types of arguments. And at the end, I would like to tell you that what programs you are going to do after completing this session so that you are well versed with the basics of Python. Then after that, we'll complete this session and thank you. The first question comes to our mind is that why programming? The thing is that whenever you think of some idea and want to bring your imagination into reality, then you need a programming language to code in. That is why we are starting with this series, that is Python with using programming fundamentals. So now we are going to discuss why we are using Python. As Python is very simple and easy to learn, its code is similar to English. When you will type a program in language, then you will not find any difference in English language and Python. It is very similar. Let us say you can have use of in keyword, you can have is keyword. These are all simple English. So let us say you can type for number in sequence. It is very simply looking like an English. So whenever you are starting with a programming language and you do not know anything about it, you can start with Python and you can learn about programming very easily and start your project. It will take very less time. Now we are going to discuss what is Python interpreter. A translator between you and your machine serves as the Python interpreter. Whenever you do not know the language of others, what you do is call a translator and say, hey, convert my code into their language and their code into your language. So a machine or computer doesn't understand your language. They understand a simple binary form, that is ones and zeros, that is called as machine code. So a Python interpreter converts your English code into a binary code, and whenever the Python machine sends some instructions, it will convert back to you in English. Now we are going to discuss about IDE. An integrated development environment or IDE is a software that provides facility to edit, run and debug your codes easily. Let us say you had a text editor. You can write your code there and from the command line you can compile and run. So this is a very hectic task. An integrated development environment would provide you facility to edit your code, run and debug your codes easily. Let us say you fall into some big error, you can check the program very easily and debug it. Or let us say you want to write several lines of code, then they can provide you module to do it in very few seconds. So the examples of IDE are Ideally, PyCharm, Atom, Jupyter Notebook, Eclipse, etc. Ideally is provided by default by the Python in Windows. In macOS and in Linux, you won't get Ideally. You will have to work with command line. Before getting started with Python, you need to download the Python from the python.org website, and there you can visit the download section, choose your operating system, that is Windows, Mac OS, other platforms such as Linux, and you can, after installing, you can start with Python. So after installing the Python, what you need to do is you can check that whether it is installed or not, you need to search Python. So you will get over here four things, that is ideally, by default, Python interpreter, and IDE, and this is Python interpreter. You will get manuals and module docs. So you can check the Python interpreter looks like this. It is a command line form. Let us say you want to add 2 plus 2. You can check it from here. It is giving 4 as an output. And the Python IDE or IDLE looks somewhat like this. It is a package of interpreter, that is interpreter is also available over here, and you can also write some program by using new file, and let us say I want to only print hello world. So I want to check this, I want to save this with something, let's say hello.py, and now to run the program press F5 or this, you'll get an output as hello world. So this is Python default IDE, that is ideally. Now closing these, and one thing more I would like to tell you, that is whenever you are installing Python, if you add path, then you will get Python in the CMD as well. So in the command prompt you have to type Python command and you will get a Python 3 or whatever you installed interpreter. Let us check if it is working over here as well. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Now we can start with actual programming. So what is programming? Program is a set of instruction, while the art with which we program is known as programming. What you do with the help of programming language is feed instruction to your machine, and machine responds to your fed instruction. So in Python, in any programming language, there are tokens. The smallest individual of a program is known as tokens. In Python there are 4 types of tokens. The first one is keywords, the second one is identifiers, the third one is literals, and the fourth one is operators. So now we are going to discuss about keywords. So keywords are the reserved words that convey a special meaning to the Python interpreter. Let us say if you are using an if keyword. If indicates that you are going to write some condition, or if you write, let's say, false or true, that means any Boolean expression has resulted into true or false. So keywords cannot be used other than their special meaning. Let us say you wanted to write your some name as class, so you cannot write because they are reserved and they have a special meaning, so you will prompt into an error. The next thing is identifiers. So identifiers are the name given to different part of program. Let us say you wanted to write some variable a is equal to 10. Then a is an identifier which is holding a variable with the value 10. Now there are certain rules of writing this different parts of the program's name. That is, you can only use alphabets and digits along with a special symbol known as underscore. After that, you cannot start with a digit. That is, you can use alphabets or digits and underscore, but you cannot start with a digit. And the fourth thing is keywords cannot be identifiers. As discussed earlier, keywords have the special meaning to the language interpreter. The fifth rule is it can be of any length. So you can write identifiers of any length. After that, the sixth rule is that when you are writing any identifier name, there should be no space between them. That is, let us say second number is written, there is a space between them. So instead you should write second underscore number or second the capital N then number. So in this case we are not providing any spaces between them. The last rule is identifiers are case sensitive. That is, if you write second number with starting S as small and second number starting S as capital, they both are treated differently. So here I have summed up some special letter cases which are used in Python, that is snake case, whenever you write all the words in small letters and separate by a underscore. Pascal case, all the starting letter of the word starts with capital letter. In camel case, first word is written with small letters and from second onwards the first letter of each word is capitalized. So now we are going to discuss about literals. So literals are some data values. Let us say you want to store some numeric value. So you can use the data type int or complex. We have come across with the complex in mathematics or electrical engineering, where imaginary numbers cannot be represented in the real plane. So Python provides complex variable also. If you want to write some decimal numbers, they come in the category floating point and the data type is float. Alphanumeric can be written in the variable str, and if you want to write certain expression that result into true or false, then the category is boolean and the data type is bool. So there are other literals also, but in the basic structure we are only discussing about these data types. Let us now check whether how to use the different data types. First of all, let us say I am typing some numeric value, that is num is equal to 2. So this variable 2 is an integer. The type of the data can be checked with the help of type function. You have to write type and then give parenthesis and inside that the variable name. So it belongs to the class int. Now talking about, let us say pi. Pi is equal to 3.14 and check the type of pi. So it is float. As discussed earlier, if you want to write some decimal numbers, then it comes under the category of floating point numbers and the data type is float. Now let us say you want to type some complex number. Let us say you write CMP is equal to 4 plus 5J. This is a complex number and you can check the type of a complex number with the help of type function. So it is a complex. You can also perform simple addition if you want. Let us say CMP was there, I am typing NMP is equal to 3 plus 4J. Now multiplying the CMP, or let us say perform addition simply, CMP plus NMP, you will get the answer as 7 plus 9J, as 4 plus 3 is 7 and imaginary parts added 5 plus 4 would be 9. Similarly, talking about some sentence is equal to, when you write anything within double inverted commas or single inverted commas, they are said to be string. Let us say I type hello world. So let us check its type by typing the type of variable, that is sentence. You will get that it is a class str. Let us say now we want to check some condition, then 5 is greater than 3, what it will result into? It is true. So it belongs to the category Boolean. So you can check taking any variable, let us say flag is equal to either true or false. After evaluating the expression, let us say 5 is greater than 3. So flag will result into true as 5 is greater than 3, and you can check the type of the variable as type of flag, you will get bool. So we have discussed about int, we have discussed about complex, we have discussed about float, we have discussed about str, and we have discussed about bool. So the last category of token is operators. Operators, as the name suggests, they add upon to certain variables. For example, I have classified it into 7 categories. The first one is arithmetic operators. In this, it comes to be plus, minus, multiply, divide, integer divide, raise to power, and modulo. So one by one, we are going to discuss about all the operators. First of all, we will be discussing about arithmetic operators. Discussing about arithmetic operators, the first operator is addition. Let us say you type 2 plus 2, then it is going to be 4. You type 4 minus 2, it is going to be 2. Then 4 multiplied, that is asterisk, 4 into 4 will result into 16. Similarly, when you divide 5 by 4, you will get 1.25. What if you want only quotient? In case of quotient, what you have to do is divide 2 times and let us say 2. So 2 will go 2 times and that is the quotient. Now talking about remainder, you need to take help of modulo operator, that is 5 modulo 2. Remainder would be 1. And let us say you want to raise some power. Let us say 5 square 2. Then it is 25. 5 raised to the power 2 is 25. So now we are going to discuss about relational operators. They specify certain relations between the two operands. Let us say 2 is less than 3. It will result into true as 2 is less than 3. Simply checking 2 is greater than 3. It is false. We have already discussed these type of expressions are Boolean expressions. So you can check for greater than equal to, you can check for less than equal to. If the expression is true, you will get true. If the expression is false, you will get false. Simply, you can also equate expressions. Let us say 5 is equal to 5, and that would be true. And if 5 is not equal to 5, you want to check, or 5 not equal to 6, then you can take help of not, that is exclamation mark, equal to. Now we are going to discuss about logical operators. Logical operators are used to combine two relational operators. That is, whenever there are two conditions and you want to combine them. Let us say in a sentence you use and. So and is used to specify that all the conditions are true. Let us say I want your mark should be greater than 60 and in your 12th you have got 80 plus percentage, then only you are eligible for this job. So here both the conditions should be true so that you are eligible. So here you can take help of AND operator. Similarly, talking about OR, whenever I say that if your marks is 60 plus in graduation or your marks in high school is 80 plus, then only you will get a job. So if any of the condition is true, that is if you get 80 plus in high school, that is also sufficient, and if you're getting 60 plus in your graduation, then that is also sufficient. In that case you can take help of or. So here let us combine 2 or 3 expressions with the help of logical operators. Let us say 2 is greater than 3 and checking for 2 is less than 3. We know that 2 is not greater than 3, so it will be false, and 2 is less than 3 is true. And we have already told that for AND all the expression needs to be true, so it is not the case, so expression would be false. Similarly, you can check for OR. So 2 is greater than 3 or 2 is less than 3, you would get true, because 2 is greater than 3 is false but 2 is less than 3 is true. So in that case you will get a true expression because one condition is true at least. If you want to negate the statement, let us say you got true and you wanted false. So not of, let us say you got 2 is less than 3, we know that 2 is less than 3, it would be true. And whenever I type not a statement, you will get a false because it is negating the statement. Now that we have learned about arithmetic operators and relational operators and logical operators, it is the time to learn about bitwise operators. Before learning that, we need to know some basics of Boolean algebra. So what is Boolean algebra? Boolean algebra is taking place whenever you want to evaluate an expression in certain logic. Let us say AND truth table. So first of all, 1 is taken as true and 0 is taken as false for sign convention. So whenever in case of AND truth table, let us say A is given as 0 and B is given as 0. That means false and false is going to be false. Similarly 0 and 1, that is false and true is going to be false because all the statements need to be true. Similarly 1 and 0 is going to be 0, and finally 1 and 1 is going to be 1 because all the statements are true in the last case. Similarly, talking about OR truth table, in the case of OR truth table, you will find that whenever any of the condition is true, the resultant condition will be true because OR case is given. I want this or that. I am satisfied if I get any of one. So 0 and 0, false and false would be false because you are not getting any conditions. 0 and 1, that is false and true, one true is there, so resultant would be true. Similarly 1 and 0 would be 1, 1 and 1 will be 1. So the bitwise operators are bitwise AND, bitwise OR, bitwise XOR, left shift, right shift and NOT. So now we are going to do some hands-on on bitwise operators. So before proceeding to bitwise operators, I am going to show you a simple operation. Let us say I am using single line comment and using 4 bits to represent 2 and 3. So 2 is represented as 0 0 1 0. Similarly, when you type 0 0 1 1, then that is 3. So when you are doing 2 and 3, you would get 2 because whenever you are going to calculate, let us say we are going to calculate for AND. In AND case, I've already told you that all the conditions need to be true. So for the first bit, you will see that 0 and 0, that means false and false is going to be false. The next bit again false and false is going to be false. Now talking about 1 and 1, that is true and true is going to be true. And finally false and true is going to be false because in case of AND all the expressions need to be true. So this is nothing but binary equivalent of 2 as discussed earlier. Similarly, if you want to calculate, that is 2 or 3 bitwise OR operator, you will get 3. Let us calculate whether the expression is true or not. Let us say 0 and 0. 0 or 0, that means false or false, is going to be false. The other expression is also 0 and 0, so it is going to be 0. Now 1 and 1 would be 1 because true and true is going to be true. The last one, 0 or 1, that means false or true, is going to be true. So this is nothing but binary equivalent of 3. Similarly, you can check for XOR, that is 2 XOR 3. You would get 1. So how did we get that? Let us evaluate. So in case of XOR, we need to remember that whenever the bits are same, you would get 0, and if bits are unequal, you would get 1. So 0 and 0 is equal, so you would get 0. The next bit is again 0 and 0, so you would get 0 again. 1 and 1, again you would get 0 because they are equal. And 0 and 1, the last bit is going to be unequal, so you would get 1. So this is nothing but binary equivalent of 1, so you are getting answer as 1. Now talking about left shift and right shift, let us say you are doing 5 left shift with 1. So what is actually happening? Let us understand. So let us say 5 can be represented as 0, 1, 0, 1. So whenever you shift by one bit towards the left, what you are doing is adding 0 at the end and discarding the, or rather you are not discarding, it is there. So this now becomes as 10. This is the binary equivalent of 10. So answer is 10. You would note that when you are shifting the bits by left side, you are doubling the number or multiplying it by 2. Similarly, when you will right shift it, let's say 5 right shift by 1 bit, you are going to integer divided by 2. You will get 2 because let us check what we are doing is 5 can be represented as earlier talked is 5101. So you are shifting towards right, that is you are adding 0 at the starting and discarding the last digit. So this is nothing but binary equivalent of 2. So we are integer dividing it by 2. Let us say you want to check for 5, let us say 50, and right shifting by 3 bits. That means you are going to divide it by 2 3 times. So 50 is going to become 25, 25 is going to become 12, and 12 is going to become 6. So the answer is 6. So these are fast to calculate. Now talking about complement, the ones complement can be represented with the help of tilde symbol and 5. So here it is -6. As when you will write complement of 5, the ones becomes 0 and 0 becomes 1. So that equivalent is going to be a negative number in the form of 2's complement, and that equivalent would be -6. So you are getting -6 as the answer. So now we are going to discuss about assignment operators. So assignment operators, as the name suggests, assign certain value. We have already seen equal to. Whenever we say num is equal to 2, then we are assigning the right side value to the left side. So other shorthand operators can also be evaluated. Let us say plus equal to, or minus equal to, divided by equal to, multiplied by equal to, and so on. So now we are going to discuss about assignment operators. Let us say num is equal to 2. So we are assigning the value 2 in the variable num, and equal to is the assignment operator. Let us say we want to use shorthand operators, but before that let us say we are saying num is equal to num plus 2. So what it does, it takes the previous value of 2 and 2 plus 2 is going to be 4, and that result would be stored in the num variable again. So after typing this, let us check if we are getting 4 or not, and that is correct. So again let us check for num plus 3. So 4 plus 3 should be 7. So and that is 7. So this can be written with the help of shorthand operator, that is num is equal to plus is equal to, let's say, 3. So that would be 10, I believe, and that is 10. So this is nothing but same as typing num is equal to num plus 3. Adding the previous value is known as shorthand operators. Similarly, other variables can be used. So now we are going to discuss about identity operators and membership operators. So identity operators are similar to equality operators. Let us say you are evaluating 5 equal to 5. That is same as identity operators. You can replace it with is. The only difference is it compares their memory location instead of the value itself. Similarly, not equal to is same as is not. Now talking about membership operators, it identifies that any part is a part of big thing or any sequence. So if you want to check that it belongs to it, you can take help of in, and if you want to check it is not in that, so you can take help of not in operator. So now we are going to discuss about Python, a dynamically typed language. Whenever we were assigning num is equal to 1, 2, 3, it by default took variable as int. If you were typing pi as 3.14, it was taking as float. We didn't specify that we are going to use this type of variable. So this type of behavior shown by Python is a dynamically typed language. That is, variables are decided at the time of run rather than at the time of specifying. You can check the variable name or type by type function of variable. We have already seen these things. So now we are going to discuss how to take input from user and give output to user in Python. We can specify if we want num is equal to 23, but that doesn't make sense because in the real scenario you have to feed the data from the user itself. So whenever you go to the ATM machine and say I want 2000 rupees, you have to type it by yourself. So it becomes important that the programmer should make arrangements for the user. So input and output can be taken with the help of input and output functions. So whenever you say message is equal to input, so there are two types of prompt available. If you do not want to prompt the user, you can leave the input function with parenthesis alone, and if you are typing, let us say enter some message for me, so it will be displayed with prompt. But by default this input functions take input in the string. So let us check this expression. For example, if you say num1 is equal to input, num2 is equal to input, you will, and you give 23 and 47 and add them, you thought that these are numeric values and they would be added, but the answer is 2, 3, 4, 7. They are concatenated. It is because input function is by default a string. So you can typecast it with the help of typecasting technique available. That is, if you want it in float, you can typecast it into float, specifying the variable name and parenthesis in the input function. So now let us perform a simple hands-on to understand this problem. So let us say we are taking input in num1 as input, and let us say it is prompting for us, let us say I type 23, and num2 as input as 47. So I'm going to add them, num1 plus num2. Oh, what that happened? 2, 3, 4, 7. We have discussed about it. That is, they were the strings. That is, check the type of num1, you will get that it is str. So you can specify the typecasting at the time of input. Let us say num1 is equal to int, then parenthesis. Enclose the input function within these parentheses. And you want to prompt, then you can give your prompt. Enter a, let's say, and similarly it will prompt for enter a, so 23. Now take num2 as int typecasted and input, enter b, so give 47, let's say. Now add them, see what happens. Num1 plus num2, and that is 70. So now it is adding because you have already typecasted it. So you can check by type function type of num1, you would get int, and that solves our purpose. So now we are going to discuss about output in Python. You can take help of print function. So if you want to print a variable, you can take help of print function, or certain variables in the sequence. You can separate them with the help of comma and print it. Or by default you will see that separator is a space and end is new line, that is /n. It is known as escape sequence. So /n is for new line, /t is for tab, or whatever you want to give, you can give. So these are the different ways you can print function. So let us see these hands-on as well. Let us say we want to print our message. So our message is enclosed in double inverted commas or single inverted commas, hello world. So our message enclosed in double inverted commas or single inverted commas is printed here. Similarly, if you want to type some more things, let us say I got this message, let us say hello, and then after that comma I gave 5, then 7, or whatever we want. We can give our sequence separated by comma. So this portion is string, this portion is integer, this is also integer. So it is printing hello separated by space and all the values given. So by default I have already told you that separator is a space and end is in new line. So let us check for taking variables. Let us say num is equal to 2. I want to print this variable. So I can give a prompt over here and separate it by comma and print my variable num. So number colon it is 2. We can also change the default behavior of the print function. That is, we can specify number colon comma num. I'm specifying that separator is going to be equal to, I am giving two tabs, so /t/t, and I am going to end the new line. Instead I am going to give three new lines, /n/n/n, and enter. See, after the number I got two tabs and one line, two line, and three line after that. So you can take help of your choice and design a print function of yours. So now we are going to talk about control structures. They control the actual flow of the program. Let us say you wanted to make some decision. If your age is greater than 18 or equal to it, then you are eligible to vote. Similarly, if your age is less than 18, then you are not eligible to vote. So there are two possibilities over here. Similarly, if you take the case of triangle, you will see that it is equilateral, scalene, or isosceles type of triangle. So conditions are checked and evaluated to give a part to the flow. So you can take help of repetitive task also if you want. Now talking about the different types of flows available in the control structures. The first one is sequential flow. If you are writing a simple program, let us say you want to take input and simply give output in the case of add program. So you have to take AB as input and add them and print it. So that is going to be done line by line. So that is example of block of code or sequential flow. The next flow is selection flow. As I told you, if I want to make decision that if you are eligible to vote or not, so if the condition is true, I will assign you this task. If your condition is false, I will assign you this task. Similarly, if you want to take another thing again condition, then you can check again and assign the task accordingly. Its example are if-else ladder. So finally, iterative flow. When you want to do some repetitive task, you need three things: the initialization, the condition, and the iteration. Initialization tells from where to start, and condition is checked at the entrance level. If the condition is true, then only entry is allowed over here. So whenever these conditions are being iterated, they have to be changed with the help of variable. So let us say you wanted to run this 10 times. The condition would have been I is less than equal to 10. So the value of I should be changed here. So that is known as iteration. So its example are while and for loops. Now it is time to discuss about if-else. So talking about whenever you want to make some condition, you can take help of if-else blocks. First of all, talking about its syntax, you have to use if keyword to specify a primary condition. Let us say if your age is greater than equal to 18, and after that you have to give a colon. So after giving colon, you have to intend your code, that is intend specify that this is the part of if block. So whenever the condition would be true, the statements within this block would be executed. So colon indicates that the part of intended code is block, and statements should be at the same level of indentation to avoid the indentation error. Python follows strict indentation, so you also need to follow the same. After that, if the primary condition fails, let us say there were conditions to check triangle type. So if equilateral triangle failed, then we can check for isosceles type of triangle. So using the elif keyword just after the if keyword, you can specify your condition too, and if that condition is executed, you can type your statements within the block of code. Similarly, if you have another conditions as well, with the help of elif conditions, following these statements you can give. If there is a chance that, let us say there are only three possibilities: if it is equilateral, it is scalene, or it is isosceles. So if two conditions have already executed and the answer would be the third one, so in that case else portion can be executed. So now we can check a simple program to specify how if else works. So let us check simple if program. First we will take age as input and typecast it into int. So prompting the user to enter age. So I am getting a prompt. I am typing 23 over here. Now I can check if age is greater than equal to 18, then print that eligible. If age is greater than 18, I would get eligible as my answer. Similarly, if this is not executed, the case would be you are not eligible. So if this condition is true, you would enter this part, and if the condition fails, you would enter this part. So here we find that 23 is greater than equal to 18 is true, so you would enter the first statements and else block doesn't execute. So now we are going to discuss about loops. So whenever you want to do some repetitive task, you can take help of loops. So first of all, what you need to do is initialization, then condition and the statements. Finally, we need to do iterations. After that, coming out of the loop, whatever statements you want to execute. So this is the syntax of while loop. Let us do a program to well verse with this while loop. So now let us get well versed with the while loop. First of all, we need to do initialization, that is I is equal to 1. Then using the while keyword and giving the condition, I want to execute it 10 times, let's say. So I is less than equal to 10. After that, I want to print the value and check what happens with the I. Finally, the third portion is very important, and that is increment. That is I is equal to I plus 1 forms the basis of iteration. So here we see the first value is 1 and 1 is less than equal to 10, that is true. So I would be printed, its value is 1. The I value would change 1 plus 1 to 2, and again the condition would be checked. Similarly, this would happen until the value of I is greater than 10. As we know, while coming out of the loop, the I would have changed to I plus 1, that is 10 plus 1, 11. So let us check if the I value is changed or not. So that is 11. The I would have changed to 11, and its condition would have checked that 11 is less than equal to 10 would have become false, and it would have come out of the loop. Now let us understand the syntax for loop. So for loop has the following syntax. So let us say if you have a sequence can be of your choice. Let us say 1 2 3 5 2. You can specify it over here with any collection, whether it is list or it is a string or it is tuple, set, anything. And here you want the iterator. So if you give, let us say, for number in sequence, so the number first would be 1, then it would change to 2, as in the earlier case I was changing from, first of all it was 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Here we can give sequence of our choice. So after that, printing the value, you can check the number. So let us do the program and check what happens. So using the for loop, generating the sequence, let us say for number in sequence, I am generating my own sequence 1, 2, 5, 4, 3 and giving a colon. After that, printing my value. Let us say what value it is changing to. So after that, giving the number. The number is my iterator. So first it would be 1, then it would go to 2, and so on. So pressing enter, first the value is 1 as the number is iterating through 1, then it would be 2, then it would be 5, 4 and 3. So you can specify your sequence and generate. So now we are going to discuss about things which are helpful in for loops and in while loops. It is the range function. So whenever you want to generate a sequence, you can generate the sequence with the help of range function if you want. By default, the generate sequence from 0 to exclusive of end. Let us say you said range of 10. So it would start from 0 and with the step of 1 it would increment and you would get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up till 9. It is always exclusive of the end and inclusive of the start. So if you are specifying the start, let us say range of 1 comma 10, so it would start from 1 and go till 9 because it is inclusive of the start and exclusive of the end. But the step by default is 1, so you can change the step also if you want, and step would be negative also if you want. So you can specify step also. Finally, talking about break, continue and pass keyword. Break is to come out of the loop. If let's say we do not want to execute the loop further, then you can come out of the loop. We would be using it in near future. And let us say continue. Continue is used to skip the current iteration. If current iteration is not useful, you can skip it. And pass is used where you want to do not do anything. So let us now check with some hands-on. Let us say we are generating a sequence with the help of range function and specifying as 10. So we are getting the range from 0 to 10 and it is exclusive. Similarly, if we specify the range from our start position, let us say 3 to 10, you would get the range from 3 to 10, but 10 is exclusive. Similarly, you can generate a sequence with the help of steps as well. Let us say from 3 to 10 with a difference of 2. Now using these sequences in the for loop, let us say for I in range of 10. So by default I told you it would start from 0 and the step would be 1. So I am printing the I variable. So it is starting from 0 and running up till 9. Again doing the same problem for I in range of, let us say 3 to 10. So it will start from 3 and exclusive of 10. I am printing I. So it is starting from 3 inclusive and exclusive of 10, that is up till 9, and the step is 1. Similarly checking for the step as well. So I am starting from 3 up till 10 with the step of 2 colon and print I. So it starts from 3 with a step of 2, 3, 5, 7 and 9 and is exclusive of 10. So this is the way you can use for loop with the help of range function. Now we can also check for break keyword and another stuffs. For loop for I in range of 10. So it would start from 0 and it would go up till 9. But what if we want to break at 5? So to check, I am printing I value also. So it would not reach. So if I is equal to 5, I am giving a break, that is come out of the loop. So after that I am pressing enter. So it started from 0, it went to 1, it went to 2, 3 and 4. When 5 was equated, the break keyword got executed and we came out of the loop. So this is the use of break keyword. Similarly, if you want to continue or skip the present, so for I in range of, let us say 10, I wanted to skip I is equal to 5. Fifth iteration I want to skip. So I am typing the continue statement. So print I. You will see that 5 is not there because the fifth occurrence has been continued, that is, it has been skipped. Similarly, if you want to use pass keyword, you want to do nothing, then that also you can do. They are simply as placeholders. So printing, first of all checking if I is equal to 5, then pass, I'm not doing anything, and print I. So everything would be printed, it will not make any difference, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So finally we are coming to the end of the session, that is what are functions. Functions are block of code that perform particular task. Let us say you can make a function for addition, you can add two numbers. So functions are block of code with particular task. So its syntax is very simple. You have to give def keyword to define some function and specify the name of the function. After that, whatever arguments you want to give. Let us say if you wanted to add two numbers, so the argument would be a comma b. So a comma b can be specified over here. And you want to do something, that is, if you want to do something, then you can do add them and return the sum if required. Returning is not necessary, but somewhere let us understand there are two types of functions where you want to return something and where you do not want to return something. Let us say, for example, I said that calculate sum of 5 and 6. So 5 and 6 would be calculated and 11 would be returned. Similarly, if I said print hello, so you do not need anything in return, you only want to pass the message, so no need to return anything. So the function is called similarly and the values are passed with actual arguments. Let us say 3 comma 5 would have passed here and it would be stored in certain variable. So the types of arguments available are positional. Let us say you pass some value from here and it got copy pasted over there. Similarly, default argument. If you do not pass any argument, it would take the default value. If you remember, we have used the print function. It had by default value separator as space and end as new line. So you can specify your value by default If that is passed, if the value is passed, then it would be overridden, otherwise it would take the default value. The third type of argument is keyword argument. So in case of keyword argument, you would find that with the help of keyword, let us say you want to pass argument 2 is equal to value 1. So you can do that. You can rearrange them and pass. But make a note, whenever you are typing the argument with some default value, you should place it at the end. Otherwise you will prompt an error. Finally, the last type of argument is variable argument count. So if there is variable argument count, you would get, let us say you do not know the length, you can simply write star over here and type the args. So it is simply a tuple. So you would get a sequence, you can get your number and do whatever you want. So result is stored after calling the function. How many arguments you want to give? 3, 4, 5, whatever you want. So now we will perform hands-on, and so now we are going to perform hands-on on functions. Let us say I am typing def keyword and I am going to add, or let us say I am addition, I am typing the addition function. So here I want values as a comma b, and I would like to return their sum. So a plus b would be returned. So coming out of the function, this is the definition part of the function. Now let us use that function. So let us say I have a is equal to 10, b is equal to 5, and pass these values over there. So addition of a comma b, that is 10 and 5 would be passed over here, and 10 plus 5 would be added and returned back. So 10 plus 5 would be 15. So this is a basic function. So you can use default parameters. This is what is called positional arguments. You can give default arguments also. Let us say the addition and a comma b is equal to 5. If you do not pass 5, then 5 would be added by default. Let us say a plus b. So definition is complete. Now giving a is equal to 10 and not specifying b actually, and calling the addition function. So addition of 10, so it is 15 because b is by default as 15. So addition of, if you want to specify directly, so 10 comma 3, if you give, this value would be overwritten, so b would become 3. So 10 plus 3 is 13. Similarly, if you do not know the length of arguments, so you can do that as well and use star over here and args, give a colon and generate a sequence. For I, let us take a variable sum is 0, let us say. So for I in this arguments, this is a sequence, it will iterate through the sequence. Let us say 4, 5, 6, whatever you give, it will iterate, and the sum would be sum plus old value and the new upcoming value. After it is calculated, return the sum value. So I have completed the definition. Now let us say I can call any length of my choice, 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6, so it is 20. Add them, 2 3 4, that is 5 plus 4 9 9 5 14 14 6 20, whatever length you want. And if you want to check with the keyword also, you can check with that also. Let us say addition and colon a comma b. So here returning a plus b. So definition is complete. Now I am calling the variable with function addition of b is equal to 5 I am typing, and a is equal to 2. I know that keywords, that is a and b are the keywords. So b would be 5 and a would be 2, that is 7. That doesn't make any difference, but the b would be passed over here. So let us say if you want to change something, we can change over there. Finally, if we do not want to return, let us say we want to display only, then you want to display something, and let us say a message is passed over here, or two variables are passed, a and b. So just print them with a comma b. You're not returning anything. So I am passing to display variables, let us say 3 comma 5. So it would be printed. It is calling the function and printing the variable. So finally we are completed with all of the things. Now I would like to tell that I have compiled different programs which will help you to learn the Python, all its basics up till string. Finally, we have come with the end of the series Python fundamentals. So these are some list of programs which I have uh, compiled with this session. So in normal I have done the program of addition, simple interest, area of circle, using the if else, voting, maximum and minimum, even or odd, leap year program, triangle, and in the loops I have done table program, factorial program, sum of digit, magic number, Armstrong number, palindrome, prime number, and Fibonacci. Similarly, in string I have done vowel, search, and palindrome. So these are the list of the programs I collected and have done. So you will enjoy, I believe, and you will learn a lot, because these are going to form the basics of any language. So if you learn these things and get the concepts, you can learn any language. And in the high level programming language, that is after these things, collections and anything, in whatever things you do, the basic is basic. So if you do not know basics, you can not apply in big things. So these are the basics, please follow. And with this we come up with the end of the series. Thank you, and I hope you like it. So if you liked it, please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, because guys, I have done a very lot of effort and brought you this course, and you can learn these things in not more than 3 to 4 hours. So thank you.